Now let's add a little bit more detail to the center part of our medallion. And this is going to be another chance for you to kind of customize this however you want. And so on the medallion, I'm going to go ahead and create a new paint layer, just an empty paint layer at the top. And now let's go over to our alphas. And you can see before we used an alpha to create a pattern on the jumpsuit. Here, we're going to just use it as a single instance. And so there's a bunch of different alphas to choose from. You could also import your own, but look at some of the more graphic looking shapes, things like these crosses. This is a circle branch, a cog. There's all different kinds of shapes here. And so pick one that you think goes with this design. And so let's say I'm going to pick maybe one of these spirals. And so all I'm going to do is double click on this, and that's going to add it as an alpha to our paintbrush. So if I right click, you can see that that alpha, that circular spiral, has now been added in the brush as an alpha. And when we hover over the model, you can see that preview. All right, so let's say that we want to create on the inside of this, we want to have a kind of a carved look here and some paint inside there. And so I'm going to do this on different layers so we can kind of create different variations. So I'll right click and I want to choose the color that I want it to be. So I'm going to choose, let's choose maybe a red color, maybe a little bit darker. And then I want to have the height affected as well. So on the height, I'm going to take it down to a little bit under halfway. So it's pushed in a little bit. On the roughness, I'll go ahead and increase the roughness, and the metallic, I can go ahead and leave that. And so now when we come in here, we're going to size this appropriately. And we can do that really quickly, holding down Control and the right mouse button will allow us to size up and down our alpha. And so I'll go ahead and click to add it to the model. And so now you can see it's red and it's kind of pushed into the center. So we're able to add a little bit more detail to this model. Let's go ahead and create another layer. We can turn this one off. Let's try something else. And so maybe that's a little bit too noisy. There's a little bit too much going on. And so we can come in here and select some of the other ones, maybe the circular triangular one, kind of like that. Again, Control and right click to size it down. And you can drop that in. And you can see the depth that we have there. If you want to change that, you can come in and increase the height offset, pop it in, and now we have that sort of a detail. Now, if you want to go even further and have this sort of glowing, you could actually paint on the emissive map for this. And so right now, this medallion doesn't have an emissive channel. And so let's go into our texture set settings. And you can see these are the channels we're working with right now. But if we just go ahead and hit plus and choose emissive, now we create a new paint layer. And let's say that we want to come in here and the base color, we're going to make it kind of a blue. And we're going to turn on emissive. And for the emissive, we're going to make that a blue as well. And you can see how that's sort of losing the shading and now it's sort of even glowing. So now when we come in here and place our alpha, it's not only pushed in, but it's actually sort of self-illuminated. You can see it's not responding to the lighting like this is. It actually looks like it's producing light. And so if you want to have something that's more, kind of looks a little bit more techie, you can use emissive channels to create the sort of lights that are going on with that. And so you can kind of decide between any of these different selections that you have on what kind of detail that you want to add there. But it just adds that extra level of detail where it looks like you've still got even more intricate carving going on. It doesn't have to be in the center. You could add it in other places as well, but it just adds to the final look, and that'll be reflected in the height or normal maps once we output our maps. All right. So go ahead and experiment with that. And like I said, it's really easy to do multiple different ones, and you could actually even combine them if you wanted to. And if you want to have something that is more magical or technical, where it's glowing, you can use an emissive map. And we looked at how to go ahead and add those. Next, let's go ahead and start to texture the main sash here. And here we're going to use a pattern to change not the color, but the roughness to get a neat effect. And so we'll do that next.